insiders are predicting that ABC News is going to have to be sold. You see, because ABC News is of no value, really, to Disney. It is just a headache. You got the Terry Morans of the world, along with, the George Stephanopoulos. You've costing you 16 mil. You've got Jonathan Karl, who was in trouble recently. You got David Muir, who showed his hand, Martha Raddatz, etc. And so consequently, you're looking at it, if you're Disney, and dare I forget, The View, obviously, right? Alphonse, good to see you. It's been a while. Lots of generosity, much appreciated. I remember exactly when Terry Moran said that, yes, in 2017, he said he compared it to a pretty darn hateful thing. Alphonse, it's not acceptable. It is not cool. You can't do it. Ed Miller, thank you for your generosity. I calling out the you-know-what on the left. Thank you very much. Listen, this is catching up with them, guys, because Disney's looking at ABC and they're like, who needs this? We don't need the show The View. We don't need the Terry Morans of the world. We don't need David Muir. We don't need George Stephanopoulos, and we don't need Martha, and we don't need Jonathan Karl and the rest of them causing all these headaches for us, because you know what? They're in a bit of trouble. I'm going to get to what Brendan Carr just said, but first, listen to this. This is another sort of doozy from that show that's on that I can't believe anybody watches. I don't think it's going to be long-lived on network news.
What's interesting for me is that people's faith in the country is waning.
Yes.
That's the thing that's pissing me off, because in fact, there's a reason Joe Biden ran the way he did. There's a reason he's running for democracy now, because that's really what's at stake. You worried that you can't pay your bill? Wait till the other guy becomes president, and you won't have to worry about it, because you'll be in some camp somewhere, because that's his promise. His promise to...
Okay, guys, did you hear that? This is ahead of the election, right? So again, Disney's got a problem here. She's trying to suggest that if he wins, you're going to be put off in camp somewhere. I mean, this is network news, okay? It's produced by ABC News. And you know what? The FCC does have governorship over this.
Is he's going to force people to do his bidding. That's what he said. I'm going to be good on day one, and I'm going to turn into this other person. So here's the deal. This is all up to you. This is all up to you. We can sit up here till we're green in the face. But this really comes down to the people. What is the country you want? Do you want the country that you kind of thought you had, where we all get to say what we think and we don't have to be afraid of being American? And believing that, there will be people who come in, and some will get in quick and some will take a different route, but they're coming here for a reason, because they're living in a place that's not good for their families. If you're okay with that, you understand that, then fight for us to find a better way to make immigration work. Fight for that. Don't fight for keeping everybody out, because then we all have to leave.
Yeah, that was before the election. Okay, just think of that. Now, she hasn't changed her mind much. She's kept herself kind of quiet. John Luna, thank you so much. Wow, that's a big thank you. Super chat. I so appreciate it. I tried to put it on, but it keeps coming up lopsided, so it's kind of hard to read. Anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It says, great stream today, Ms. Trish. I love your perspective. You don't need to call me Ms., by the way. I love your perspective and no holds barred, brutal honesty. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything that you guys do to make this channel happen. Going over to the FCC warning, okay? So I can't believe I didn't play this for you. This just happened a couple of days ago, and it's a big deal because Brendan Carr, who runs the FCC, who governs all of these networks, okay? He went on to Fox and he leveled a big warning at NBC. Don't forget, he's already sent Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, which owns ABC, a nasty letter, like right after the election saying, hey, watch it. And then he sent another one in March. They're investigating them. And then like days ahead of Terry Moran, Terry, your timing is impeccable. Your bosses are like, what the HELL? Oh my gosh. Brandon had just said this a short time before. Listen in, head of the FCC,
Your probe into Disney's DEI policies. Their senior counsel writes, this is all about bullying and intimidation. Mr. Carr's most powerful tool is his vote on the commission to approve mergers and acquisitions. Is this about Disney's hiring practices, or is it about something else?
Yeah, this is about the hiring practices and their employment practices. Look, broadcasters, and Disney owns one, ABC, they have an obligation under federal law. We have EEO rules at the FCC, which means you can't make hiring decisions based on protected characteristics, including gender and race. And the evidence we have so far indicates potentially that Disney and ABC were making employment decisions based on race and gender, including having effectively race-defined affinity groups within the company. We have evidence that they put quotas in place based on specific demographics. If the evidence does, in fact, play out and shows that they were engaged in race and gender-based discrimination, that's a very serious issue at the FCC that could fundamentally go to their character qualifications to even hold a license. But we're going to follow the facts wherever they go. Look, President Trump's been clear. We are turning the page on DEI. The first week I was chairman of the FCC, I said we are ending our own promotion of DEI at the FCC. People will be shocked if they learned the millions of dollars that the FCC alone was spending to promote DEI. We had it listed as our second highest strategic priority. I mean, think about everything the FCC can and should be doing. National security issues, bridging the digital divide, space economy. And we had promoting DEI as our number 2 strategic priority. Now we're going to focus on our core mission.
Wow. Okay, did you hear that, Disney? Did you hear that, Terry? No, clearly he didn't hear that. Or maybe he did. Maybe he wanted to provoke. Maybe he wanted to make sure that more people knew his name. I don't know. But it was really, really bad timing, okay? Like moronic timing, given that Brandon Carr had just gone on and said this. So he's like fanning the flames, right? And then you had this, we've talked about this, that this investigation was going on. A report from Postmillennial saying FCC investigates Disney over DEI discrimination. While I have seen reports that Disney recently walked back some of its DEI programs, significant concerns remain. Okay, this was one of the letters, the one most recently, end of March. Okay, so this stuff is fresh, alive, and well. Carr's letter said to Iger, I'm writing to inform you that I have asked the FCC's Enforcement Bureau to open investigation into Disney and ABC. In particular, I want to ensure that Disney and ABC have not been violating FCC equal employment opportunity regulations by promoting invidious forms of DEI discrimination. While I have seen reports that Disney recently walked back some of its DEI programs, DEI remains a significant concern. Okay, significant concern. In other words, they don't even care if they're fixing it lately. It's Johnny come lately. He wants to ensure, here we go, this is the FCC in their letter saying, I want to ensure that Disney ends any and all discriminatory initiatives and substance not just named for another. I want to determine whether Disney's actions, whether ongoing or recently ended. So that's the part that you need to focus on. Because maybe they're scrambling after the fact and they're trying to end all this stuff. But he's like, I don't care. Like, if you were doing it, you are still in jeopardy because constitutionally speaking, right? And they just had a big ruling on this, like this kind of quote unquote reverse discrimination you can't do. There was a woman who sued because apparently she was heterosexual and that was a problem, I guess, in terms of her promotion. So she said, I'm being discriminated against because I'm heterosexual. So in other words, and the ruling, I should say, that the court's ruling on that was that, she can't be discriminated against for that because, again, it's discriminating on the basis of sexuality and it's not allowed. So Brandon means business. And he's looking into all this stuff, racially segregated affinity programs, Reimagine Tomorrow initiative for DEI, inclusion standards across ABC, the network requiring 50% of regular and recurring characters be drawn from underrepresented groups, may have forced racial and identity quotas into every level of production, demanding 50% more of writers, directors, crew, vendors be selected based on group affinity. And so they have a problem. Do not forget, by the way, this is amid the backdrop of the Elon Musk Gina Carano lawsuit where she was suing because she said she got fired because of her political beliefs. Do you remember that? And they just had this big sort of move forward where they can get a lot of discovery. So this is important for Gina. And frankly, it's important for the FCC.
When I wouldn't hashtag trans rights and I wouldn't put my pronouns in, like they kept on it pressuring. And finally, I just said, I'm not doing this, I'm not. Like, what are the pronouns? I didn't even know what people were talking about. I was just not clued in to the pronouns thing, which apparently that's been happening for like like 7-8 years now, right? It's been happening.
But no one has ever explained its purpose. What I mean,
I didn't know.
You're just supposed to know.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, you're a bigot.
Yeah. Well, then I put beep bop boop in my
Beep bop boop.
yeah.
So that, if I'm translating, that just means middle finger to you, right?
That just meant I can put anything I want
Yeah.
in my bio. I can do whatever I want. That's all that was.
Because you thought it was a free country.
Yeah, because I thought it was yes.
Yeah, right.
But I was
Just trying to follow your train of reasoning here.
Yeah, you can put anything in your bio that you want, and the whole, meltdown that caused was just, and then,
In a bad way, or are people impressed? I'm impressed.
No, it's cool now, but this was, mind you, this was like a year and a half ago. So This was like, I was speaking out about lockdowns, mass vaccinations, and pronouns way before anybody was even like saying a word about it. And so I was a little bit ahead. I'm sure if I would have done that now, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But because I was talking about this when nobody else was talking about it, especially nobody else in my industry, it was like, Lucasfilm called me and they were like, okay, we're going to need you to go on a Zoom call with 45 of our, LGBTQ, community. And we have to get you on the phone with these people. We need to have you watch all of these these movies about the trans lives, documentaries. And I was like, okay, I'll watch your documentaries and I'll talk to your people. But I'm not going to get on a Zoom call with 45 different people who can have their phones out videotaping me. And I feel like that's extremely abusive.
Yeah. Can you imagine? 45 people they wanted her on a call with to go through why she's such a bad person because she put beep bop boop. By the way, remember Rachel Zegler, little Rachel Zegler from New Jersey, former Maria in West Side Story, turned Snow White, who tanked Snow White. It went from the biggest grossing box office film ever in the history of Disney to like the worst. She's the one who pushed heavily on Twitter to get her fired. This is all going down. I know how Gina feels. Look, I was way out in front in March 2020, and sometimes it's like not good to be first, right? You should always say. But it all worked out for the best. I'm here. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. I remember a couple of years ago, and I took pictures on my cell phone of this, all right? So I went to look on my computer for a costume for my son who wanted to go as Dash from The Incredibles, which is a Disney Pixar film. And he loves to run and he loves to run fast. So he thought he could be Dash for Halloween. So I go on, mom here, and I start looking for the Dash costume. Okay, I should have given him a Spider-Man costume, right? Here I go, Dash costume. Can you guys see this? I took this with my cell phone, and this is amazing. If you're listening on Spotify, thank you, or Apple iTunes. But we're looking at pictures. This is boys' costumes, okay? I do a search for boys' costumes. Do you see what's up there in front? It says boys' costumes. And I could not believe this. Boys' costumes, and what do you see? Princess dresses. Every single one of them. It's the first thing that came up, and this is on my computer. I'm like, what? Seriously. So I circled them. There you see, boys' costumes. And the first thing, 30% off the Jasmine costume for kids, Aladdin. We got to send this to Brendan Carr over at the FCC. Then you had the Belle costume for kids, Beauty and the Beast, the princess costume. Okay, I'm just looking for Dash, and I can't find Dash. If you go down the list, the first 5 costumes are girls' costumes, and then you finally get to a robot or something. Come on, people. Disney's in trouble. Like, serious trouble. They're laying off. We know that. I think there are more heads that are going to roll at NBC. They got all kinds of financial headaches thanks to Snow White, Rachel Zegler, lovely little Rachel ingenue from New Jersey that she is. They got problems, okay? And now they've got the FCC, as you can see, breathing down their back. So they're paying all kinds of money in legal bills, and they're sitting there saying, we got to get rid of ABC News. We've got to get rid of this problem. Now, maybe they keep ESPN. I know they're going to keep ESPN, actually. I can tell you that because they've actually invested a lot of money in trying to make ESPN happen. They're charging like $20 or something, I think, for the stream now, so that you can get just ESPN via streams. We'll see. Dawn may disagree with me, but I actually think that people will pay up for sports, and so that might be an opportunity for them. But are you really going to pay up for this Disney content when they're trying to force feed you a bunch of boys' costumes for your kid for Disney? I don't think so. Are you going to pay up? I mean, look at the box office, right? For Snow White, that tells you exactly how that all went down. And so now on the heels of that, they're having to lay off all these employees, and they're laying them off in the entertainment division as they increasingly say to themselves, what are we doing with the liability of ABC News? It doesn't even make any money, and it's not a business that's growing. So Disney's laying off hundreds of employees from teams across its television and film divisions. It's one of the things that they probably are thinking, hey, Terry Moran, let's suspend him and then let's fire him because we'll save some money. Probably not a lot, but some. Plus, they're sending a message, I guess, to everybody else on the ABC News staff, like, guys, like, don't be crazy. Like, don't do crazy stuff. It's important for us to notice that, though, as conservatives, because now we know they really are crazy. While no entire teams are being eliminated, according to Disney spokespeople, several hundred job losses will occur across the Disney entertainment departments that handle all of the marketing for movies and TV, publicity, casting and development, right? Because, all that DEI casting and development, not to mention The View. They already had layoffs at The View. Whoopi's lost like practically her whole team. And now Bob Iger is issuing this warning to the hosts on The View. Hey, like, knock it off. Like, all of you, knock it off. George Stephanopoulos, we just had to pay $16 million because of you. Look at the mess CBS News finds itself in. Can none of you take a hint, right? We get the FCC breathing down our back. They're conducting this investigation. People don't seem to like our products anymore. They didn't want to go and see Snow White. And now Iger's warning all these ladies on The View to knock it off. In fact, let's go back to the headline. It says here in the New York Post, Disney CEO Bob Iger, The View ABC News boss, told The View host to tone down the anti-Trump criticism. And apparently, they may be telling him to pound sand. At least Ana Navarro has no interest in any of this. They had the guy who runs all of ABC News and must have made the decision here on Terry Moran to exit him, trying to convince these hosts that they've got to do something different. And there's a lot of tension now behind the scenes, according to the Daily Beast, for whatever that's worth, because this is what they do, right? Political issues. So they're sitting there saying, well, how can we cover anything else? We don't really know how to cover entertainment anymore. We have to talk politics. And so now the executive producer apparently said to staffers, we got to go easy on this. We got to go easy on this. We got to back off. And Whoopi's not happy. Whoopi apparently snapped, according to OK Magazine, at her producer live on the air. And I think it's created this environment where they don't even know what to talk about. Whoopi has backed off for sure. Like, if you notice, she's kind of being a lot more cautious in terms of what she's saying, and she's leaving it up to the other ladies to say things. But we're going back to the New York Post story. The head of ABC News, his name is with the host, I guess, I don't want to mutilate this name, Kara Megdovich. So they're trying to shift the show's tone. So he's working with the View producer, whose last name is Tedda, I guess Brian Tedda, to try and shift this and to lifestyle segments, et cetera. And the hosts don't want anything to do with it. Again, remember, these are the hosts that were threatening that Trump was going to lock everyone up.
What's interesting for me is that
okay, spit it out.
people's faith in the country is waning. Yes. That's the thing that's pissing me off, because in fact, there's a reason Joe Biden ran the way he did. There's a reason he's running for democracy now, because that's really what's at stake. You worried that you can't pay your bill? Wait till the other guy becomes president, and you won't have to worry about it because you'll be in some camp somewhere. Because that's his promise. I mean, his promise to us is he's going to force people to do his
crazy stuff, right? So that was before the election. They've continued the craziness since the election. At least most of them, except for Whoopi, who seems to actually be listening to her bosses in this case, and they're like, tone it down, tone it down, tone it down. Like, we got enough headache. And so Terry Moran now, getting that suspension, after that crazy social media post in the wee hours of the morning. It was like midnight, right on Saturday night. I'm like, Terry, what were you doing? I'm getting a little wild, right, on a Saturday night. Letting it all hang out, telling us exactly how you feel. Pretty bad. So now we know exactly where they're coming from. And believe me, there's more where that's from, right? So if he feels that way and he's a correspondent, what about all the producers around him? What about everybody on the team? David Smith, thank you so much again for the generosity, laughing about Disney and the princesses and the costumes I just showed you. Maybe they can make some of the MASH guys, right, into Disney princesses. Oh yeah, I'm sure they'd love that. Like, who knows? But like, they were trying, for whatever reason, to force upon the world a certain viewpoint. And you know what? The world said, seen that, done that. No, we don't want it. And so I think the world pushed back. And so you see sort of this economic engine. This is why we love capitalism, right? Because it gives more say to the individual. The individual, right, that's affected by all this stuff. Speaking of loving capitalism, we've been watching gold prices very carefully here on the Trish Regan Show. As you know, Trish Regan loves gold. Trish loves gold. Go to trishlovesgold.com for up to $15,000 off with a free silver. Actually, not off. What am I saying? Up to $15,000 of free silver. I'm wearing the right dress for it today, am I not? This is with American Heart for Gold, one of our show sponsors. Gold has been on a tear, of course. I'm just trying to see if I can get a live price for you right now. Gold has been on a tear, and there's a lot of reasons for that. We've talked about it at length, in part because I think the world is trying to diversify away from U.S. dollars. We've got gold up again today, so sitting near all-time records at 33.54, up 0.25%. You know what? This is really just incredible. I've been telling you to buy it since it was like $1,500 on this show. So that's a good thing. Go check them out. TrishLovesGold.com. Get more information today. Text Trish to 65532. Call them at 1-844-495-1115. Tell them you saw the advertisement here on the Trish Regan Show. It helps us. And again, I'm just a big believer in diversifying into things like gold. By the way, I should point out silver up nearly 2% right now at $36 an ounce. Also, if you're interested in investing in general, and I hope you are, you get some investors hoping for a rate cut. I actually don't think that they're going to get it, guys. I really don't. So I'm going to take that lower off of the screen right now. 76research.com, code word dollar. Investors cheering again today, this market. You know what? There's a lot of good stuff. We got the jobs report last week. Looks like, we're moving forward with some negotiations there in China and, of course, the EU. We talk about some of the sectors to be in, some of the stocks to watch there at 76research.com. You can get my research. It's my research, and Rob as well, my dear friend Rob Horton, who has spent decades on Wall Street and managed billions of dollars. And I convinced him we needed to do this. Because I want to make sure that you have access to real information, not just what you're getting here on the news front, but also on the financial front. So 76research.com, really important to look at that. This is just amazing though. Disney having to pay the price here, suspending one of its own after just a real mess.